Napa know-how.
It's Love Your Car Month at Napa. And to show your car the love, get a Napa bucket for $2.99 and save 20% on almost everything you can fit inside, like car wash, car wax, and tire shine. So save some cash and look good doing it by getting 20% off with the Napa bucket. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores, exclusions apply. Minimum 3 items may not be combined with other offers. Offer ends 4/30/19.
Hey everyone, this is Spence the Singing Swordsman at the Brothers Commonplace. Thanks for checking out our podcast. Just a quick disclaimer before we start. We are a comedy podcast that covers many serious events. We aren't here to purposefully offend or disrespect any of the people in our topics. But at the same time, we will be trying to make each other laugh and crack jokes. Thanks again for listening. Be good, stay safe, and laugh at the dark stuff.
All right, fellas, like we practiced.
Yeah. 2, 3, 4.
Come on down. Come on down. Hanging with the brothers tonight, yeah. Come on down to the Brothers Commonplace tonight.
Alrighty, welcome everyone to the Brothers Commonplace. We got a tripod of power today with me, Primo, and Spence.
Yeah.
And we are a comedy podcast that covers monsters, murders, mysteries, and more. So let's go ahead and meet the other two brothers that are with me.
What's up, guys? This is Tim, or Itty Bitty Titty Timmy, as they called me in Sunday school.
That's true. We went to the same school, so.
Yeah.
Excellent. And this is Spence, or as they called me in Sunday school, Spenstradamus.
Oh,
Fuck yeah.
yes. He predicted they were going to call him that,
Hell
too.
yes. Oh, that's good shit. And y'all know me, it's a Cleveland Strangler. Doesn't matter if it's in school or not.
No.
So, alrighty, let's jump into this case. It's getting super cold over here in Ohio, so I think it's a good time we jump into a cold mystery.
Yeah.
The strange case of the hikers of the Dyatlov Pass.
Oh, the Dyatlov? I've been saying that wrong the whole time.
You know what? I was a little disappointed because I had jokes for if it was called something else, and I
Yeah.
didn't realize that the pass was named after the leader of the expedition.
Ah,
So I had a few like dad jokes that we'll crack real quick.
just do it anyway.
Dyatlov Pass. Maybe they should have gone down Livitov Pass. That's one of them. Oh, Dilatov Pass? More like Kilatov Pass.
Oh, my God.
And that's pretty much it.
All right, that was good.
The KGB approves that message.
Oh.
But before we jump into that case, I do want to give a shout out real quick to another podcast. They're called Your Weekly Top 6. And what it is, it's two guys named Michael and Adam. It's super funny, entertaining, and informative. And these two guys, they make a top list each of top 6 things. Their newest one is called Historical Figures for which you would go back in time to kidnap and create a history report. And they crack a lot of Bill and Ted jokes in it. It's super funny,
Nice.
super entertaining. So I highly suggest that our listeners go and check them out. It's a really good podcast.
Awesome.
Is there anything else you guys want to mention real quick before we jump into the actual case?
I'm happy that they cracked Bill and Ted jokes.
Oh, it's good. It's funny. It's funny because they mentioned in the podcast. Remember when I think it's Bill. I can't remember. One of them's in a suit of armor and they fall down the stairs and then instantly they get stabbed and they're like, no! And he runs down there and he's not in the armor. He's like, yeah, I fucking rolled out of the suit of armor before he got stabbed. Yeah, they
good.
mentioned that, so I had to go back and watch it, man.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Put them in the Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden, excellent.
So on February 2nd, 1959 in Russia, 9 skiers, including their leader, Igor Dyatlov, all died in a very strange and mysterious way. All right, so let's talk about these hikers. They are an experienced trekking group from the Ural Polytechnical Institute consisting of 10, and they were heading toward what the indigenous Mansi population referred to as Dead Mountain or the Mountain of the Dead. And I guess when they got there, they were supposed to drop this fucking ring like into this fucking lava and
Oh,
shit.
fuck
No, that's
yes.
not even funny, but I
Wait,
wanted to
was the
mention Lord of
mountain
Rings.
shaped like a skull like every cartoon from the early 90s?
Should have been.
Oh, it had to have been, dude.
Also, going with what Kev was saying, there should have been like a giant eye or whatever the fuck that guy was. Yeah. I've never seen those movies. I know that's in there.
So the group consisted of 8 men and 2 women. Their leader was a man by the name of Igor Dyatlov. I think that's how you pronounce it. Every time I say it different,
We
I
can
don't
call
remember.
him Igor Karkaroff because that's just like a dude from Harry Potter.
And the age of the hikers were all in their early 20s, except for one man who was 38. And Spence, do you know what was up with that guy? Like why there's just a 38-year-old? Because he wasn't their leader.
I do not know what was up with that guy. He's not the one that dropped out and stayed behind.
No, that was one of the 3 guys named Yuri on this expedition.
Wow.
But no, it wasn't. We'll talk about the 38-year-old guy later because there's something kind of weird about it. But I don't know what his part in this group was.
I don't know.
'Cause everyone else were like students.
What if they just found out he wasn't supposed to be there? Like that guy just following him.
Like, oddly enough, he had 4 machine guns on him. No.
Oh my god.
Was his name Kelly?
So you probably noticed that at the beginning we said that 9 died, but there were 10 hikers altogether. That's because one of the hikers left the expedition on January 28th because of an illness, and he probably had to just take a shit.
Like imagine being that guy. You know,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Does it say like how long that guy lived after all
Yeah,
this and stuff?
he was in his, I think he was 74, 76.
So like he lived with that for a while, knowing that
Yeah.
like, he left and whatever happened to the rest of them.
Yeah, and I remember seeing something about it where he said the hardest thing is just not knowing, not having any idea what the hell really happened to all of them. And it's one of those things like, well, if I was there, maybe something else would have changed, or maybe they wouldn't have all died, but who knows?
Yeah.
And I think that I read this guy who stayed behind. He actually had a bunch of different health ailments and had problems with, like his knee joints and all this other stuff too. So I really don't know why he was trying to make that hike anyways, because this is known as a very difficult hike.
Yeah. I heard he had just watched the video from The Ring, and like the chick that kills everybody thought he was going to be there still, so he stayed back and she just killed the rest of them.
He shows up like the dude, and there's something about Mary who like tries to pick up those car keys. He has those 2 big like fucking arm crutches. He's like, I'm ready for the hike.
Fuck yeah.
The great thing is that guy plays a scientist in Pacific Rim.
Oh shit, it makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Norm. I'm a pizza
Oh, wait,
delivery
that guy
guy.
does?
Hey, very good query, Mary.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yes. But Charlie from It's Always Sunny is in Pacific
Yeah,
Rim
so I
as
knew
well.
he was in it. I've just never seen the movie.
So the group had brought cameras, and they filled out diaries on their trip, and this made it possible to track their route up until the day of the incident, or maybe the day before. And one of the final notes in the diary read, I wonder what awaits us on this hike. Will anything new happen? Will they ever get off the island, and what do the numbers mean? Those last 2 are just lost jokes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, those last 2
You
are
just
just
glided
lost
right
jokes.
into that like a
Oh.
frickin'
For a second, I was
Peregrine
like, wait,
Falcon.
what?
Dude, I forgot I wrote that, and I was reading it, and halfway through, I remembered it was a joke. So I
Oh,
was like, "What
fuck
the
yeah.
fuck?"
You're like,
Yeah,
wait.
And as far as the cameras go, you can see a lot of the photos. They're super eerie and creepy, and it doesn't help that all the photos are being looked at after you know that they're all dead. And they
Yeah.
all died mysteriously.
Also from that time, like the way they took photographs back, in the days of only black and white.
Yeah.
There's a line from BoJack Horseman where they do a flashback episode to the past, and the photographers are like, all right, this is for posterity, everyone, so make sure to look far away sad.
It's true. There is something about black and white photos
Yeah.
where you just instantly just assume they're like dying, dead,
Yeah.
or they're just ghosts.
I hate how like everywhere online you see these pictures where it's like, oh, the true story of this, and it's like, I don't know, it's probably not fucking real. It probably just
Yeah.
the picture's creepy, but they just throw some stupid story behind it that isn't true.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, at that time, they probably all either had scarlet fever or tuberculosis.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, or they just read the Scarlet Letter.
Dude, I swear to God, I was about to make a Scarlet Letter joke. I swear.
Or they were just thinking how they would never be able to go on a date with Scarlett Johansson.
So the actual mountain, on February 1st, the group reaches the foot of the mountain, or Mountain of the Dead, and by February 2nd, it would now be known as the Mountain of the Deader. That's
Oh, Eddie Deader?
funny.
so keep in mind, this is Russia cold. It's far below in the negatives. And when I think of the people that would be actually like comfortable going out in this weather, I think of the Eskimo from Boy Meets World eating that ice cream.
Yes.
That's really who I thought about this whole episode. Like I pictured
respect
him.
that. I respect that a
He
lot.
comes there for summer vacation. So the climb is already considered to be a very difficult climb, and the snowstorms, the weather, everything made it even more troubling. And they spend most of the day climbing and hiking up the mountain, and then they set up their camp just a few hundred meters from the peak. And there are photos taken from this part of the trek that shows them hiking, and just looking at the photos, you can just tell how insanely cold it is.
Oh, yeah.
And the very last entry from the diary reads, "It is difficult to imagine such a comfort on the ridge, with shrill howling wind hundreds of kilometers away from human settlements." So that's kind of creepy and eerie, too.
Yeah.
And there's actually a website called Dyatlov-Pass, and they have all the journal entries that they have found or that they could make, pretty much. So it's kind of cool to go through and read all that. It's definitely weird.
It's all very well written. Like I like.
Wait, Kev, do you speak Russian?
Negative. Niet.
Yet? Oh.
Yeah.
So you didn't read them in the original language.
I did not.
So what if the translators translated it
Ooh,
wrong?
They did in some of it, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, in that documentary we watched,
Yeah.
they mentioned that they were all intoxicated, which wasn't true.
Oh,
So
shit.
yeah, they actually were not intoxicated. I don't think they had any in their
Did
system.
they
the
read
plot
in-
thickens
they
as the
read
blood
in
thins.
They misread in there that they were intoxicated.
Yeah, in translation, he got the reports wrong, which is a super cool documentary and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only noticed that because it was in the description of the video. He's like, yeah, I messed up the translation.
Oh, wow.
Always good to read those.
Absolutely.
Before heading out, Dyatlov had agreed that he would send Yudin, the sick hiker that decided to stay back, a telegram to the sports club to let them know that they were safe and they had arrived in Vizhai, or however you pronounce it. I've heard that he was supposed to send a telegram to either Yudin or just to all their families. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But they were supposed to send a telegram to let them know that they made it, and of course that telegram never happened.
My grandfather actually graduated cum laude from Viz High.
Oh, hell yeah. The last journal entry was on February 1st, and the telegraph was expected February 12th at the latest, although Dyatlov said it could be a couple days after that. So the 12th came and went, but delays were pretty common, and Yudin waited a couple more days, but nothing. The families of the hikers are getting worried and upset, so they demanded a rescue operation. And finally, on February 20th, the head of the institute sent out the first rescue groups, as well as volunteer students and teachers. And later, the Army and military forces would become involved and sent planes and helicopters also.
Wow. I heard some of the telegraphs that were supposed to be sent, they actually sent them in a singing telegram, but somebody killed the girl before they could... Clue? Yeah, okay. Also, when you get the clue joke.
So they sided with the institute, you're saying?
Oh, that was their first mistake right there. Fuck the institute.
Fuck Sean, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Sean. It's all Fallout 4.
Oh, let's say I'm very confused.
Yeah, Sean sucks.
Fucking old.
So now we're going to talk about the death of the hikers. And we won't get into all the weird and specific details yet. So we're just going to go over like the main outline of how the hikers are found, and then we'll get into some of the smaller details as well as theories. On February 26, the group's abandoned tent had been found. It was badly damaged, half torn down, and covered with snow. There are pictures of the tent online that you can see, and it shows the tent was actually still standing up some. Like the front and backs were standing up, but the middle of it did have snow on it. Inside the tent, the group's shoes and belongings were all found. One of the most baffling things, though, was that the tent had been cut open from the inside with a knife.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty weird.
Something on the inside of the tent.
Really wanted out.
Yeah, my guess is they had a portable DVD player, and one of them was about to show Joe Dirt, too. And they just had to fucking get out of there.
They didn't read your post from a couple years ago where you said it was going to get a good rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
I was blinded by love, man.
Yeah, that's all right.
I wonder how they know that it was cut from the inside.
I don't know. I thought about that, too.
Yeah, it's not like you can really tell the difference.
I'm not sure. There's a lot of information where I'm not exactly sure how they found that out or not.
I'm sure there's a way.
And I don't know if it was ever said it was found. I don't know if this knife was ever found either, but I don't know if it's just something that wasn't considered important or not. So who knows? On the outside of the tent, there were 9 sets of footprints, and all the prints were made while either the person was barefoot or wearing socks, or in this case, even just a single shoe. And the tracks led down the mountain towards the edge of the nearby woods, but after 500 meters or so, the tracks are no longer visible and they were covered with snow.
That's very creepy.
And this is a little confusing to follow. There's a lot of pictures and maps that were made, so you can look those up. It kind of explains it a little bit more.
It's really fun to to read about and stuff. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
Definitely
no, it
check it
really.
out.
This is one of those cases that it's super interesting because everyone has an idea or
Oh,
like
yeah.
a theory, and there's so many theories that fit for certain parts of it, but not
Yeah.
for all of it.
There's
you know?
almost like an infinite amount of things to read about. If
Yeah.
if you look it up, pretty awesome.
And at the edge of the forest, the first 2 bodies are found underneath a large cedar tree. Both of the hikers had no shoes on, and they were wearing only underwear. And tree branches are broken off the tree up to 5 meters high. And under the tree, they also found the remains of a small fire.
That almost seems like they were breaking like branches to light the fire, pretty much.
Yeah, well, some suggest the reasoning of the branches being broken that high up was that 2 hikers were either climbing to get away from something or to get like a better view, maybe to try and spot the camp, or they're just trying to get a bunch of branches to make a
it's
fire.
like fire. Because I
Yep.
mean, how high was it?
Was it 5 meters? 5 meters high.
Yeah. So I mean,
That's high.
it's high. Yeah.
And this is in the middle of the night too,
Yeah,
so
that's
you
true.
can't really see. But yeah, we'll talk about more shit.
Yeah.
Yeti. It must have been the Yeti.
It could be the Yeti. That's a theory.
Fucking Yetis.
And forensic tests would later find traces of skin were embedded in the bark of the tree, indicating that the 2 hikers were frantically attempting to climb the tree.
How
Ooh.
the hell did they find skin in a tree?
I have no idea.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
No idea. Some say that that's proof that they were trying to get away from something, or you're like naked in negative degree weather. I don't know if you're just trying to get sticks quickly, or you're trying to escape, like I said, a bear, yeti, wolves, or if you could actually still hear the DVD of Joe Dirt 2 playing.
Oh, fuck
So-
yeah. I didn't know how to do it, but when he said, how the hell do you find skin? Like, I was just going to crack a joke about, like, somebody asked me that when I lost my virginity, but I didn't really know how to do it, so that's my joke.
That's my joke.
Best I got, guys.
On February 27th, between the cedar tree and tent, the searchers found 3 more bodies, including that of the leader Igor Dyatlov. And they were found at different distances from the cedar tree, 300 meters, 630 meters, and 480 meters. But all of them were believed to have been attempting to return back to camp based on the positions of their bodies.
Yeah.
So they kind of thought maybe they were climbing up towards the camp again.
There's a lot of, like, random stuff. I'm not sure how far you go into detail, but
Yeah.
maybe they end up freezing to death or something.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about what we think about it all. I'm just trying to I was trying not to give too many opinions. I just want to give out.
Yeah, I mean,
the
I
main
know
facts.
one of them, like, tried breaking down that door with that axe, and then he ended up freezing to death.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, because then you destroy the hell out of that snowblower. Or that. The fucking. What are those things called? I was trying to get through it. I couldn't. Because I heard that one guy. Destroyed the hell out of that snowmobile, and that was like their only way out. So
I have no idea what the
we were
hell
just
y'all are talking
cracking
about.
jokes about The Shining.
Oh, it's The Shining. Nice.
So far now, 5 total hikers have been found. 1 had a small crack in his skull, but all were to have believed died from hypothermia. So that was the initial ruling from this. And as soon as those 5 were found, they started doing like main investigations and trying to figure out what all happened.
yeah.
And the remaining 4 hikers would not be found for almost another 2 months. And on May 5th, under 4 meters of snow and in a ravine 75 meters past the cedar tree and into the woods, the remaining 4 hikers were found. These 4 were better dressed than the other 5, and they were also found to be wearing clothes that belonged to the other hikers.
It's not as well known, but like a little further, they found those videotapes underground of them like in the woods looking for that witch.
Oh, man.
And they knew that they were wearing clothes that belonged to the other hikers, because one of the dead hikers that they found later was actually wearing the NWO shirt.
Oh,
So-
fuck yeah, dude! What if around their bodies they had the spray paint and the NWO on them?
they do that whenever they're searching for the bodies, and all the ones they find, they spray paint NWO on them.
Hogan turned heel here too and just killed all those people.
Yeah, but whose side is he on?
Oh, fuck off, man! Why do you do that?
So 3 of the 4 hikers found here had fatal injuries. 1 had major skull damage, and 2 of the others had major chest fractures, such as broken ribs. And doctors concluded that the force needed to cause this kind of amount of damage would had to have been extremely high. The injuries were said to compare to the same type of injuries acquired from a car accident.
Well, that's insane.
And it was also said that the injuries were too strong for a human to cause. One of the hikers, a woman, had not only crushed ribs, but also had a missing tongue, and part of her mouth, I guess, was missing.
Yeah.
And there was also a couple people that had like missing eyes.
That probably wolves.
Maybe. Yeah, some people think that maybe it was animals.
Yeah.
But besides the tongue missing and eyes, there were no signs of any external damage.
Which that really doesn't make any sense.
On like any of the hikers, it was all like internal damage.
Yeah.
And the group managed to dig out a den and lay down branches over the snow to give them an extra layer to fight off the cold. So this last group, they like dug down and made a little den. They put down sticks and stuff so they weren't like laying on top of the snow. But what's really weird is the group was found like a couple feet outside the den.
Yeah.
So it's like they weren't even down in there. They were like a couple feet outside of the entrance of what they made. And that's where they were found dead. So that's really weird too.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the most weirdest and talked about parts of this case is they all had fake glue-on mustaches.
But I mean, they were talked into doing that because they were going to go visit Karen in fucking Utica.
Oh, shit.
If anybody watches The Office, they get that joke.
And one of the weirdest and most talked about parts of this case is there were 3 pieces of clothing found on the group of hikers that were tested to have radioactivity on them. And but what was even weirder to me is why would you test clothing to see if they're radioactive?
Yeah.
That's what confused me. That's what I don't understand.
Like, what did they think? Like, did they think they were going to find that? Yeah, that
I have
doesn't
no
really make
idea.
much
I don't
sense.
know why if you find someone dead, you would test them to see if their clothes are...
Remember, Spence and I talked about this before just randomly, and Spence made a good point that, like, I mean, if you test a lot of things, you'd probably find some form of, like, radioactivity, you know? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Just because why did they randomly do that? So that does, you know, it kind of just doesn't really make that much sense.
But I also read that some of the lanterns back then could have possibly accounted for the radioactive shit found
That
on
makes
it.
sense.
So.
Yeah.
It was the Cold War. Everyone was obsessed with radioactivity.
That is true. It is the middle of the Cold War.
It is.
And there were also reports of the whole area around the
And
campsite.
the campers at Dyatlov Pass, they lost the Cold War, you might say.
The coldest war.
Oh,
One of them
for
did
the
it, though.
coldest war.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, there were also reports of the whole area around the campsite being covered with radiation as well, although some reports say that's not true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so of the 9 that died, 6 died of hypothermia and 3 of fatal injuries. So now let's get into some of the weird shit and the theories that we have for this case.
Absolutely.
And I mentioned earlier the website, Dyatlov-pass.com. They have like all the pictures, diary entries, the bunch of theories on there. They got a lot of information on there. So check it out. It's a really cool site. But on May 28th, this is that year. May 28th, the case was discontinued and closed with the official statement saying, considering the absence of external injuries to the bodies or signs of a fight, as well as the abandonment of all the valuable resources, adding the conclusions of the medical examinations for the causes of the deaths, it has been concluded that the cause of their deaths was calamity or overwhelming force. That was like the official statement.
Like that year. They didn't even give it a full, like...
So that's what makes this case really suspicious.
Yeah,
is
why
they
did
just tried to shut it down as soon as they could.
Yeah.
And they don't even, it doesn't even explain what happened at all.
Yeah, not really, no.
Wait, it was overwhelming force, not unrelenting force?
Skyrim?
Yes.
Yes. It could have been, man. We don't know.
Roda.
It really could have been. That makes more sense than this. But, see, that just doesn't make sense. Because then, like, okay, well, what was the overwhelming force? Or what was it that caused this? They're just like,
Yeah, they never
we're
say that
just
part.
shutting it down.
Yeah. Like, they could have made something up like a meteor hit or something that would have made more sense.
Yeah, so that's very suspicious to me. Before we talk about theories, I do also want to add in, as far as tracks go, there were no traces of anyone entering the campsite or tent. And the only tracks that were found in the area were that of the hikers. And the tracks immediately outside of the tent look to have been made slowly or carefully and not like they ran out.
Yeah.
Like it looks like they cut out of the tent, like something they thought was immediate danger in the tent. But then none of the footprints look like they were
Running.
made hastily. Yeah, it looks like they were careful when leaving.
Yeah. Doesn't really make
So there's a
sense.
lot of contradicting stuff.
Absolutely.
So all right, so as far as the weird stuff go, I guess the first thing we'll talk about is the tongue and eyeballs.
Yeah. That's the one I want to talk about.
Weren't some of them face down in water? And
Yeah.
the idea is fish maybe just pecked away and ate the soft parts.
See, that
as
is
fish
one,
are wont to do.
that is one being face down, like animals or something could have got to it. But I don't know unless they fell into this, which would explain some of their damages. I don't know why you would die face down either, which some of them were found face down, which is also kind of weird.
Yeah, but at least Red Jumpsuit Apparatus got a song out of that.
Hey, girl, you know you drive me crazy.
So, yeah, that, I mean, at least explains something, but
Yeah.
if that's what, what happened.
But they don't really go into too much detail in the autopsy reports, as like some say, oh, they were ripped out. They don't say if they were like cut out, ripped out. I feel like if animals did get it, which is what I do believe as animals,
Yeah.
I feel like you'd be able to tell if they were getting chewed on by an animal or something. But
Oh,
there's no details in the autopsy about it, really. But that's what makes sense to me, because also the person missing the tongue, the girl, I think a lot of like the soft tissue around her mouth was missing too.
Yeah, so something like took it, like bit it off probably.
All right, so the next thing we'll talk about that's weird is the radiation. So since some of the clothing did have radiation on it, it was believed to have belonged to two of the guys, and I believe one of them used to work at like some place that had like radioactive or nuclear material or something. But I heard that was like a long time ago, and I don't know why you would still just be wearing that or...
Yeah.
That guy went on to be a member of Imagine Dragons, right?
Radioactive. But yeah, the whole radiation thing is pretty weird. And there's no reports, not that there would be, because I'm sure it'd be kept secret,
Yeah.
of like any nuclear testing or things going off in this area.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know why you would just have clothes that had radiation on it.
Yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's not like they were going to like Chernobyl or something. Like,
Yeah.
It all depends on whether the levels of radiation were actually high enough to be that strange.
Yeah.
Because again,
Yeah, that's
They
true.
really
a lot of
say.
normal everyday things have low levels of radiation to them.
Yeah, that's true. So
So-
that's why they said one of the theories is that it was from like the lanterns and stuff like that
Yeah, which
in the
would make
camp,
sense.
in
Yeah.
the tent. But yeah, I don't know what the levels were at all.
Yeah, like nobody probably does, especially with this kind of thing because of how weird it already is. People are probably just trying to add a lot to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Absolutely.
And some reports that said like the whole area was covered in radiation, but then some say it was only 3 articles of clothing. So some people, one of the theories is like, well, they were testing nuclear weapons here, but then all the clothing would probably have shit on it. You know?
Yeah, and if they knew that somebody there had Joe Dirt too, they would have fucking nuked that shit. So
And the next thing we haven't mentioned is there was a report that during the funeral that it was a 12-year-old kid said that one of the bodies or all the bodies, I'm not quite sure which ones all they showed, appeared to have red skin and gray hair, which this is only one report. I really don't put too much stock into it, but there is
So
some
they were
talk
all
about
turning
that.
into Red Skull?
oh, fuck yes.
So I don't know, but I've heard it was only like one kid that said it.
Yeah.
And it could have just been, I mean, these bodies that were found are in pretty bad condition. You can see all the
Yeah.
pictures of it, and it might have just been them trying to fix what they could to make them
Yeah.
presentable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I could be wrong, but doesn't like frostbite and stuff like that? Wouldn't that like kind of make your skin red? Isn't that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, but I don't really know a lot about it, but I mean, I feel like that probably could too.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen any body of someone that was killed from like climbing the mountains was in Mr. Deeds.
Oh, fuck, is that Frozen guy in the beginning?
The good times we could have had. That's not even the same guy. but-
I'm bringing the beers.
And also Yuri, one of the survivors, since all the people, not all of them, but a lot of the members had diaries with them and journals, and they accounted for all of them, except one of them. One of the hikers supposedly had a journal that no one found, and Yuri's like, yeah, that guy had a journal. He wrote it every day, but the police...
Wait, which Yuri?
the surviving Yuri. Yuri. He said that one of the hikers had a journal that was never accounted for. So that's another thing that's kind of like, well, there's probably information in there that the government doesn't want you to have. So it's a cover
or
up.
they just fucking didn't find it.
Yeah.
And also, that's just going by what that guy said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, we're going by what we saw that guy said too. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
Maybe that guy never even said that.
And then I think we'll also bring up paradoxical undressing. And what that is one of the effects of hypothermia, which shouldn't happen to everyone. I think it says like 25% chance or so that if you're suffering from hypothermia, you'll go into paradoxical undressing, which is where you think like you're so cold, but like your brain kind of fucks up and you think you're really hot and sweating.
Yeah.
So you take your clothes off. But that shouldn't happen to all of them.
Yeah.
So, but that's weird. That's a weird thing. Like, why would they all be dressed like that?
Yeah, I mean,
Unless they're all doing like a giant gangbang for real. Like, not to be like
It could've been,
insensitive,
yeah.
but unless they're all like banging, I don't know why they'd all be like just in underwear when it's negative degrees.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty interesting. I didn't know that that few had that from the hypothermia, because that's what I
Yeah.
thought it was. It was just hypothermia.
Yeah, it's a cruel joke, God. That doesn't make any sense. You son of a bitch.
Oh,
Smite me, oh smiter.
And we'll also talk about the 38-year-old guy. His name was either Semyon or Seaman. I don't know. Seaman's probably funnier, but I don't know if that's it.
Seaman.
So
38-year-old guy that was around like a bunch of 20-year-olds should have been Seaman.
I don't understand.
Or in the Navy.
So this guy was 38. Everyone else is like 21, 22, 23. And in all the pictures, he doesn't have a camera.
Mm.
But when he's found dead, they find a camera around his neck. But none of the footage was able to be used.
Yeah.
And so everyone thought maybe it was like a secret camera. I don't know what for or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it had to have had something on it if during the time where everyone was leaving the tent, he managed to grab that camera.
Oh yeah.
But they couldn't find any of the film on it. But he's not wearing it in any of the pictures, I don't think. But
Not
when
that-
he's dead, he
not
has
that-
it around his neck.
Yeah, and that is really, really weird.
It must have had proof of them all watching Joe Dirt and laughing.
Yeah,
It was
well, I mean,
destroyed.
I
We
heard,
watched it together, Conan. You
I
laughed.
think he was actually a preteen girl in disguise named Harriet.
well, I would just like to point out the first showing of Joe Dirt 2 was in Hiroshima, Japan, and we know what happened there. So
Oh, fuck, we got to get rid of this. Get rid of proof. We need to get rid of the proof.
yeah.
Oh,
And, you know, tragedies are doomed to repeat themselves. So
Joe Dirt 3, 2019.
Don't give him ideas.
so some of the theories are that they were killed by other people, tribes, Yetis, you know, normal shit like that. And I will say there are a lot of theories on this one. Some make sense for, like, some of the groups of the hikers, some of the hikers, maybe a couple of them. But there's no real, like, 100% good theory for me that fits everything.
Well, the tribe thing doesn't really make all that much sense because they
No.
would either like get ready to kill them and just fail,
I
or
knew
choke
that
in
was
the
going.
first,
I
choke in
knew.
the first kill.
Yeah,
bastards.
we're Ohio guys. Cleveland Indians are so unclutch,
Oh
man.
I'm wearing a Cleveland Indians hoodie
Ugh.
right now, and I'm still pissed off.
I'm wearing a Manziel shirt, dude.
Oh my god! Why would you wear that?
I don't know, dude. I
We're gonna
forgot.
get nuked next.
Fuck. All right, so
Are we dismissing the Yeti theories?
not yet. We'll talk about
Oh,
it, dude,
okay.
because I really think it's possible.
It's the Yeti.
All right, so theory one is avalanche. The most popular theory I've read about is definitely the avalanche theory. And this is one of the most normal or accepted theories because it's the easiest one to grasp and try to make sense of. So what everyone agrees with is that the group heard something inside, or heard something while they were all inside the tent that made them think we have to get out of here ASAP, like immediately. And any professional experienced hiker, I would think, would know that if you go out in like negative 20-degree weather, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
Especially if you go out there in underwear, no shoes or anything like that.
yeah.
So it had to be something real serious. Because I don't know why you wouldn't take the extra 5 to 10 seconds to grab clothing and
something on, yeah.
shoes. I would understand maybe leaving Joe Dirt 2 behind,
my
but
God.
grab some fucking shoes or something, man.
One of the journals said that the first person who like cut the tent open and climbed out said, "Cash me outside." How about that?
Oh, God.
Holy shit! That explains it.
So everyone agrees that something happened inside the tent maybe or outside the tent that made them think, well, we immediately are in danger here, so we got to get out.
Yeah,
But no one really knows why. So avalanche is the most talked about theory, I think. And this would explain the cutting out of the tent from the inside and also why they all left underdressed. But like I said, I think any experienced hiker would know how dangerous the weather, the cold, and the elements are out there. And taking the extra 5 to 10 seconds to grab clothing
Or-
would be
yeah.
necessary.
Just grab and try to like throw them on as you're running.
Even if all you have is one of those helmets that you can put like 2 beers in, fucking grab it,
Yeah,
dude.
you might as well get
You
the
know?
beer. But I mean, it makes sense. But why would they say that it didn't seem like they ran away
From the reports, it seems like they hurried while inside the tent and then
just walked
calmly walked. Maybe
Yeah.
not calmly, but it doesn't show them like like falling down or like their footprints dragging or anything like that.
Yeah.
And they said there's no signs of anyone dragging anyone.
Yeah. It almost makes more sense that they were trying to get out of the tent and then like were trying to be quiet from something after
Yeah.
they got out.
So maybe they heard something or felt the ground shake, or maybe they thought it was going to be an avalanche, which could have been possible. I always thought avalanches happen more towards like the spring when stuff is actually melting.
yeah.
I could be
Yeah.
completely wrong.
Yeah.
But this is like dead winter.
Or
But
in cartoons when somebody like
Yells.
jumps around and yells or whatever.
But I don't think there are any actual signs of an avalanche, especially by looking at the picture of the tent when they find it. Because the way they actually found the tent was looking down from above, so they saw the tent. It wasn't buried. The
Yeah.
front of the tent and the back of the tent was also standing up.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was actually an avalanche. But when it's pitch dark, like in the middle of the night and dark, and you do hear something or feel a
Maybe
rumble,
they thought it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
like. But then again, that doesn't explain why they would run so far away and not come back immediately. You know?
Yeah. That's. I mean, it's interesting. It does seem like that could be what happened. Then it doesn't really explain a lot of stuff at all.
Yeah. Like to me, to explain immediately leaving the tent, but it doesn't explain the rest of it.
Yeah, I feel like there has to be more going on. That could be why they left, but there has to be more going on afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if that'd be enough to destroy your only shelter either, because you have to know going out there naked and in underwear, you're gonna fucking die immediately.
Yeah, and you're not going back in if it's an avalanche.
There are, like we mentioned earlier, there are some reports that maybe they were intoxicated. As far as I know, I thought in the autopsy they said they weren't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they could have been. If they were intoxicated, I would understand. So I do believe that it was possible maybe an avalanche had something to do with it, but I don't think there actually was one. Theory 2, which I am 100% behind, I could see this being possible. Shrooms. Either intentionally or unintentionally, the group may have ingested mushrooms and suffered delirium and sweating in acute doses, which would account for the bizarre and strange behavior.
It really does make sense.
If you guys all agree with that, we can just shut it down right now. Shrooms?
yeah.
Shrooms?
Yeah. Hey,
Shrooms?
me and Pookie, let's burn this motherfucker down.
Yeti.
Alrighty, we'll get Yeti we'll get to it.
I really think it was shrooms.
Yeah, I don't even know if shrooms are there, but that is actually a theory I read online.
Where
Yeah,
would you
that
get
makes
mushrooms
sense.
in the snow?
I don't know, you know a dealer, man. They'll
They'll say,
they'll
dude,
come
come
out
on.
to you, dude.
Oh, bring 'em
Like
along.
Matthew McConaughey in Tropic Thunder with that TiVo.
Yeah, dude.
All right, so theory 3, secret Soviet missile launches. Up until the night of the event and also before it and after, a lot of people saw like lights in the sky, orange glows, things like that.
Yeah.
There was even a photo, like the last photo taken on a camera, that seemed like it had a light, and it wasn't really sure where it came from, although it was pretty much a black photo with like a couple lights, so who knows.
Yeah.
But with the secret Soviet missile launches, that would explain the radioactivity.
Yeah.
And even if they weren't like launching at this area or anything like that, just maybe the missiles were hitting somewhere and that could have caused the avalanche. I don't really buy it either, but this
Yeah.
is a theory that some people. What do you
Yeah.
guys think about anything about that one?
I'm not a fan because that it just seems it's going further into like some kind of conspiracy. I'm sure in that which I do remember reading about, in that they're probably trying to explain why they shut the case down so quickly and stuff like
Yeah.
that, trying to cover it up.
Although I do think that is really weird.
It is weird, yeah, but I mean, I don't think it's because of
Yeah, I don't either.
yeah.
Anything before I move on to the next one, Spence?
I mean, how can there be missiles if there is no air?
Spence has got it.
Alrighty, theory 4, the stove. The leader of this expedition, actually, he created a couple things. One of them was a stove,
Yeah.
and I think the other one is, I forget. But yeah, a lot of these guys are really intelligent. They they all had guys that could do shit. Like their leader was a good inventor-ish stuff. They had a guy who would fix things. Yeah, they're like a really good balanced group of experienced hikers.
Yeah,
They all played League of Legends.
They all played League
Yeah,
of
they did.
Legends.
Yeah, I read the second thing the guy created was Jenga.
They all played D&D, but none of them would play a damn healer. So maybe they should have had a healer in the group. Maybe this wouldn't have
Fucking
happened.
lived, man.
They needed Wayne.
So leaving the tent unprepared would undoubtedly lead to death. Any experienced hiker would know that. I know we keep saying that, but
It's true. You have to say it.
And so the only reason to leave the tent would be if there is an immediate danger inside, especially if you're going to fucking cut your way out.
Yeah.
The leader created a stove that was used inside the tent, and I'm just going to read this. I copied this from a site
Yeah.
as one of the theories, and this is what it stated. After disassembling the stove and removing the exhaust pipe, the embers inside the stove were accidentally reignited. As the exhaust pipe had been removed, the smoke would have filled the tent in seconds. As they attempted to get control of the flame, they cut a few holes at the top of the tent to vent the smoke. When that didn't work and it became increasingly difficult to breathe, the side of the tent was slashed open and they all escaped in a state of panic.
That makes sense, but it also seems kind of dumb.
Yeah, it makes sense for people that are looking for a reasonable explanation.
Yeah.
I don't buy it for a
These
couple reasons.
people are smart. Just
Like,
get out of the goddamn tent.
Like, I could see this happening, but I don't think they would destroy their only shelter.
Yeah, just
for it.
unzip it. Like, you know how to get out of a tent. Like, I don't feel like it was really
There's
that
like
much.
a main door to the tent too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like it's that much quicker to slice it. Just unzip the tent, get out.
And there's in all the pictures of the tent I've seen, I didn't see anything burned, or I don't know if stuff was found with smoke damage or fire damage.
Yeah, because that would probably be.
Or
the
if it
big
was
thing.
on fire, there was smoke. Why would you run down a mountain?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you just get away from it, let it air out? I don't know why you'd run so far away.
Yeah, it doesn't really make that much sense.
And one of the pieces that people use for this theory is there is a picture of one of the hikers, and he's like standing there, and he's kind of laughing, and his coat looked like it was burned all the way.
Yeah.
And they show, well, they had fire problems before. And I think a couple hikers might have had burns on their hands too. But I don't know. I don't really buy this theory.
No, I mean even that makes sense. Like them
Yeah.
having that, fine, they had the issues, but
Yeah, no, I could 100% see this happening. Like, maybe this did happen, but I don't think that's a reason that they would leave for good, or like leave and just without anything.
yeah,
You know, I just don't
especially
see
these,
that.
These are experienced people that made it that far. If that's the case, if they were that inexperienced, they would have never made it that far.
What about you, Spence? What do you think on that one, man?
I think besides Yetis, it's the most plausible theory that we have.
No, I
It
agree
would
with that.
explain why they would leave the tent quickly and in a panic, but then be slowly going somewhere else.
Yeah.
But then,
See, that's the thing. I completely agree with that.
yeah, why go further?
But the events after that,
Yeah.
it doesn't line up to me.
Right? Yeah. No. There's yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get to Spence's theory right here. Theory 5.
UFOs. Oh wait, no Yetis.
He's already
You've been talking about Yetis
he's done with
this
the
whole
Yeti.
time.
Fuck the Yeti.
So animals slash
UFOs with Yetis on board.
slash Yeti. So wolves, maybe bears. There is that maybe there's a bear outside or wolves. Maybe that's why they were trying to quickly climb that tree, why they found skin in the tree, why the sticks were broken so high up. But there's no animal tracks anywhere
Yeah.
at all.
And if they're still finding the tracks of them, they would still find the human or the
Unless
animal tracks.
Yetis can levitate.
That is true.
And we
or
have not figured out if they can.
could be Yeti. Or maybe the Yeti, after he did all this, he grabbed like some really big leaves and just wiped them over his tracks.
He could have.
So maybe
If
that
you were
happened.
going to take all the time and effort to be a Yeti, don't you think you'd learn how to levitate too?
That's
True,
true.
yeah.
What I think, though, is I think the Yeti gave him the belly of the beast. I think the Yeti earlier in the day killed one of the members of the group,
Yeah.
posed as the member, while
Like took their skin,
yes,
wore it.
while inside the tent that night,
Yeah.
he was lighting his own farts on fire, causing them all to leave, and then he just took them out that
Oh
way.
man, I'm just picturing that hairy Yeti ass like spread eagled.
Dude, speaking of like Harry, I was thinking of from Dumb and Dumber when Lloyd lights his farts on fire. He's wearing that fucking sweater and does it.
I could see that. Maybe that's why they all left the tent. Every group has a tooth. You know, maybe their tooth was like
Except
ripping
us
ass.
tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, no tooth
Fucking
tonight.
Tooth, man. Come on, Tooth.
He's lighting farts somewhere. I don't even know if he does that. He's probably done it once.
Man, I
at
feel like
least.
Tooth would do that. Yeah.
He has to have done it at least once
Yeah,
in his
oh, yeah.
life. The other things he's done.
Yeah, it's true.
I feel like if like Tooth ever murdered anybody, it would be from lighting farts.
Tooth, why are you in jail? I lit a fart and killed somebody.
Oh yeah, dude, I could see that happening easily.
He would say it with such a straight face too, like it was no big deal.
Theory 6, UFO/aliens.
This is the one that I like read about the most too.
So there were reports of UFO activity and also lights in the sky around this time, and for the next month after, people reported seeing lights in the sky. There's also another hiking group somewhere in the area. I forget how far away exactly,
Yeah.
but they also stated that they were seeing some shit in the sky that was strange. And as we mentioned earlier, the mysterious photo that was taken also was said to possibly been a UFO or something
Yeah.
that they didn't know what it was. My problem with this, though, is not to roll it out just because it's aliens and UFOs and shit. But this theory, it just states that aliens came down just to scare these guys
Yeah, it
and fuck
explains-
with them, and that's
it
like,
explains
yeah,
Hikers.
like I don't
explains
Three
nothing,
Yuris
yeah.
and all the other guys.
Yuri. Like I just don't get it. Like why would they come down and just scare them and fuck with them, and then
Yeah.
that's it?
It
I
really
don't know.
explains nothing. What I mean, out of all the things that happened, what does UFOs explain really?
Nothing.
I mean, why does that have them cut out of a tent? You know, why does that have them walk away from their shelter?
Yeah.
Not a single thing really.
No, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But as far as like the photos go, like that last photo is kind of weird because all the photos of the group, they're all like hanging out, hiking, laughing, having a good time,
Wait, are they hanging out with their family?
hanging
Oh,
out,
man.
hanging out.
Hanging out with my family.
Dude, the leader really does remind me of you, Tim. That picture I sent, I really
Yeah.
think he does look like you
Yeah.
a lot, dude.
It was.
But so yeah, so
You're
there's all
alive,
these
oh my
like
God.
pictures of them having a good time and stuff, and then the very last picture is just a dark picture with lights coming toward it. So it is kind of weird,
Yeah.
strange and eerie, but it literally could have been anything. Who
Oh,
knows?
yeah.
So I just think this is a dumb theory. It just doesn't make sense to me why.
No, it's
like they don't do anything. They just come down to scare them, I guess.
Yeah, it's an easy theory to try to make a story more scary, because it's unexplained. I mean, you could really add UFOs to any unexplained story.
Yep.
They were trying to catch the Yetis and bring them back to their homeworld.
Okay, that makes sense,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm on board now. The
You guys
last
just it's so obvious you can't see.
Theory 7, my favorite theory, KGB infiltration. Now, there's absolutely no evidence of this theory at all,
Yeah, but it's fun.
but some suggest that the hiking group actually had some undercover KGB members or agents acting as students. Now, supposedly, the students were there to make a controlled delivery to some Americans, but the Americans realized that the group of hikers were actually giving them false items, which would explain the radioactive items also,
Yeah.
and that upset the Americans.
Yeah.
So the Americans killed the KGB agents and then the hikers because the hikers witnessed it all, knew what was going on,
Yeah.
and then they staged the area to make it look like all this shit happened.
So, I mean, it's so easy to say.
It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense
Yeah, it's fun.
based on the autopsy.
I mean, I hope that's what happened, but
Why is that your favorite theory?
because it
fun.
makes no sense and it's funny to
yeah,
me.
let's say
Over
it's
Yetis.
a
Over
fun theory.
Yetis. Well, Yetis are still cool. I like
Yeti's
Okay.
your number 2.
Yetis number 2.
Okay.
So what's your favorite theory and what do you think actually happened? So Spence, you go first, man.
Definitely the stove theory.
The stove theory?
Yeah.
The stove theory definitely makes sense in the beginning. I just
Yeah.
don't understand what caused them to act.
Yeah.
And that's the same way with the avalanche theory. Which,
Yeah, if we could combine like 5 of these,
yeah,
like the KGB, UFO, Yeti.
yeah. Not
Maybe
the
we
other
leave
ones.
those out.
Yeah, no, keep those. But no, I mean, along with Spence, I think it could have been the stove thing. Also, could have been the avalanche. But that's just explaining the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know why they continue to go down the mountain, why they climb the tree, why they watch Joe Dirt 2. I just none of it makes sense, especially the Joe Dirt 2. They had to have been going crazy to watch.
Yeah, I
that.
don't know, man. Like I can understand leaving the tent.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but I can understand leaving it. I don't understand why they didn't go back. And it sounds like all right, they left. Maybe they got lost in the dark. And the last 4 that were found, maybe they all had fatal injuries. So maybe they fell down, suffered big injuries, and died that way because they were lost. It was the
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah,
But I just don't understand why all of them left and then just kept going further and further.
yeah,
And
none,
one of the group did try to come back, but it
Yeah.
was too late.
none of it
so
really,
I don't
really
know.
makes much sense.
But that's really all I had for this case. Is there anything we left out or any information you want to talk about?
I heard they were Ewoks. Heard that's what did it. We haven't talked about that theory.
So they were killed by a bunch of angry Star Wars fans.
But they're so cute and cuddly.
that explains the injuries. They were trampled.
You know, they might be cuddly, but they aren't even that cute. They're fucking creepy looking.
They are
They're
kinda
stupid
weird.
little black eyes.
Yeah. I don't understand where they came from. I know I like how we're just talking about Ewoks, but yeah, who the fuck thought that was a good idea?
I don't know.
After the
Well,
first 2 Star
okay,
Wars
you
movies.
know that the original idea was a planet of Wookiees.
Yeah, that I'd be okay with.
They changed it, and the theory is that
About
Lucas
toys, right?
wanted to
Yeah.
sell toys.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want a fucking Chewbacca toy? I want a Chewbacca toy right now.
But
Right
you
now.
have Louis already.
You're like that girl from Willy Wonka who wants the candy place, but
Yeah.
all the candy and that golden egg, but you just want a Chewbacca toy.
Yeah,
I want it now.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I don't know. It's one of those things that there's no satisfying answer.
Yeah, there really is, and it's almost like the DB Cooper. Like we have,
Yeah.
nobody has anything. We'll probably never figure it out, and it would be really interesting to know what the fuck happened.
Alrighty then, Spence. You want to do our closing bit, brother?
All right. Thank you all for listening once again to another episode of The Brothers Commonplace. What would really help us out is if you could share this podcast and rate it and leave comments anywhere that you get your podcast from, whether it's iTunes or Stitcher or whatever. We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter page. You can find both of those pretty easily just by searching The Brothers Commonplace. Talk to us on there. Interact with us. Leave us comments. We love that. Give us suggestions of other cases we should cover. And the more you can spread this show around, helps us help you because it exposes us to more people.
Spread it around like fucking STDs, man.
No, let's not spread it like that, Timmy.
I mean, spread it. I mean, that's
Just spread it. Okay, I get it now. Spread it.
pretty
More
wildly
like
spread.
it like spreading your legs in a porno.
All right. I mean,
Spread it like the front opening of that tent that you're trying to fucking get out of. But don't cut it open. Just spread it.
come on, guys.
Alrighty.
I wish somebody could just tell us what the fuck happened.
What
man.
happened?
I want to know.
So special thanks to everyone. Keep the reviews and ratings coming.
Absolutely.
And if you're another podcast out there and you like our show, let us know. We could do a review for you guys. You do a review for us, or we'll give you a
Totally.
shout out. You give us a shout out, or we can trade like a little commercial.
Oh,
Put
yeah.
a little
I
commercial
like
on
that.
there.
Yeah, I
We'll
like
write you a jingle. We'll sell ourselves for you.
Yeah.
We'll do whatever you. We'll kill.
We'll
kill.
We'll sell ourselves in a lot of ways.
We'll
if
at
you
least
know what I mean.
swipe right on you.
We will.
Oh,
And we
awesome.
might even spread ourselves for
Oh,
Oh.
just spread it. I think
Yeah.
the moral of this episode is just spread
we're
it.
just
You
spreading.
know?
All right, spread it, guys.
Spread it. Alrighty. Anything else, guys?
No,
Alrighty. So everyone out there, be good, stay safe,
and laugh at the dark stuff,
you. And watch Thor Ragnarok.
and that too.
and watch it. Spread it.
And then spread it.
Spread it. Where did that come from? How did that happen? I loved it.
I spread it on Reddit.
Spread it on Reddit.
The need for skilled medical assistants is growing. Bryant and Stratton College graduates are uniquely prepared to enjoy lasting careers as medical assistants in private practices, hospitals, nursing homes, clinics, or government agencies. And we offer students personalized attention, technical skills, and professional contacts. Classes start soon. Take the first step today at bryantstratton.edu. Bryant and Stratton College, for every and in life.
For important program information and disclosures, please visit our website at bryantstratton.edu/disclosures.
The Starlight Lounge presents an evening with the Progressive Box.
Old moon, yeah. That's Hugo, tickling the ivories. He just saved by bundling home and auto with Progressive. Gonna finally buy a ring for that gal of yours, Hugo? Send her my condolences. Hi-oh! This next one's for you two. There's a burglar in my heart. Thank you.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.